So do you ever feel guilty for taking a break? Do you feel really uncomfortable when you have to stop work in the evening, or you don't know what to really do with yourself in the evening, so you usually resort back to doing more work? Do you work whilst you're eating your breakfast or your lunch and your dinner, and think about work when you're out on a walk, or do you even work your weekends? Now, if you are that person, you probably get a lot of praise from your family or your bosses for your commitment, dedication and stamina. You may even get a few "ooh, good for you" comments from your friends or colleagues who you probably only see 2 or 3 times a year for a brief coffee on a rare lunch break, or an evening that you've given yourself off a couple of times a year. Yes, you are super productive, but there's a chance that you're probably not happy. You see, maybe the hard work is paying off, or maybe, if you're unlucky like me, it really isn't. There are probably only 3 or 4 hours a day that I don't work. I wake up, I walk the dogs, and I start work at 9 AM before finishing around 7 for dinner, and then I have nothing really to do in the evening, so I carry on working until bedtime. Now, this is my routine 7 days a week, such as the script, which was written on a Sunday morning and then later in the afternoon. But if I'm being honest, I don't want to be this way. Throughout my 20s and 30s, I worked multiple jobs at a time, often working one job in the daytime or in the early hours of the morning, and then another in the afternoon and evenings and on weekends. And I loved, the small smiles and gentle praise that I got for being such a hard worker, for managing my work and funding my education whilst also studying full time, and for never coming late to my 4 AM shifts despite not finishing work the day before at midnight. The praise one receives as an overworker is satiating, but not healing, and as time went on, I stopped being able to work as much as I used to. I felt like my body was starting to pull out plugs of certain parts of my brain and the rest of my body, and it started shutting down. And no matter how much I willed myself to push myself forward, soon I stopped being able to meet my own basic needs, let alone excel at what I did, and I began to fall behind everything. I became so unwell that I couldn't work anymore, and I had to leave my university. Now, for many of us, productivity isn't just about goals. It's a coping mechanism. It's about coping, control, safety, and maybe even survival. And this, my friends, is how trauma and productivity are sometimes linked, and this video is also about how we heal. You see, no one really associates trauma with productivity because it doesn't look like a dangerous or harmful coping mechanism. Unlike other things we can do to disassociate or numb ourselves or distract our minds from uncomfortable feelings, busyness and obsessive productivity doesn't really ring many alarm bells. People may not think it's healthy, but the coping mechanism has more opportunity to be praised and rewarded than others. I mean, when have you ever heard someone say, "Ooh, you spent so much money and shopped so much today, that's amazing, you have so much willpower and dedication"? Never. But pulling an all-nighter and working weekends and evenings and overtime gets you praise. A trauma response is how our nervous systems protect us when we have experienced something overwhelming, whether that's neglect, instability, abuse, or chronic stress. As I'm not a psychiatrist or a mental health specialist, I'm going to stay away from defining things such as trauma, PTSD, and even depression and anxiety, as those should be issues you discuss with a qualified specialist. However, as someone who has been diagnosed with CPTSD and chronic stress, allow me to explore the discussion more conversationally. But before we go any further, I am so excited to talk about today's sponsor, which is XP Pen and their new Magic Notepad, because I'm not only excited about this because I'm a huge productivity nerd and I can see how this is going to become a solid favourite in my research toolkit, but I'm also a massive XP Pen nerd because I've been using their artist drawing tablet for over 6 years now, and now XP Pen have used their amazing artist tool knowledge to tap into the digital note-taking market, and oh my, they are really leagues ahead because they have now created a product that replaces your notebook, your laptop and your e-reader all in one device. So their Magic Notepad is the world's first high refresh 3-in-1 colour notepad designed for artists, professionals, students like myself and everyday users seeking for a seamless digital note-taking experience. Now when I say it's a 3-in-1 colour display, I mean it supports black and white, light colour and true colour modes, and it has an AG nano etched glass which gives a real paper feel for those of you who like writing on paper, with the added bonus of a battery-free stylus stylus, so you won't ever be caught off guard with a dead pen. It is lightweight and ultra thin, as you can see, making it a perfect to carry around. You can take it to the library or to a cafe to work on, and with its customizable shortcut keys, it allows you to make the device how you want it, which is also really important. Now, what's also more awesome is that XP Pen's intelligent note-taking app is ad-free, free for life, and with instant wake-up, PDF editing, and handwriting to text conversion, which I live off of. Plus pre-installed WPS and Adobe Acrobat. What's more, magicnotepad cares about our eyes. It has gained TUV SUD low blue light certification and Paperlight display certification, so the display reduces harmful blue light by at least 75%, minimising image flicker and making it more comfortable for our eyes. So I thought I'd show you a bit of a demo of how I have started to use it. So I've imported a lot of PDFs for my studies on there. I also have my ebooks on there too. So I can annotate the PDFs in light colour mode, so I can use highlight notes, and I can convert my handwriting into text and then share that with other devices, and I can sync it to my Google Drive or email it to myself. It has been demonstrated through data that colour notes have a 37% higher memory retention rate than just black and white notes, which makes working on digital formats that offer colour really important for students. But for me, the biggest game changer and why I'm really excited by this device is the split screen option. That's right. So I'm always got lots of books open and my notepads open and everything, but with this device I can split screen. So I can have my GoodNotes app or my Kindle app on one side of the screen and then the note-taking app on the other, and I can see both at the same time, which is fantastic. Also, there's seamless storage, access anywhere and anytime, and once you finish taking your notes on the app, your notes are automatically saved on a device that can be uploaded to OneDrive or Google Drive for cross-device editing and backup, which is so important. We need backups of our notes, people. And it's also a super friendly price. It's $399. So upgrade from a black and white screen and discover the wonders of a colour notepad today. Thank you so much, XP Pen, for letting me work with you, because this is also a game changer. I can't wait to document how it's improving my note-taking over the next couple of months. I will keep you all updated on that. And yeah, please check out my link in the description down below if you want to know more. There are many reasons why a person turns to productivity as an unhealthy coping mechanism. It can be used as a distraction, or it can be used as an attempt to undo the negative thoughts one has about oneself caused by the trauma. If you do tend to employ toxic productivity as an unhealthy coping mechanism, you may also find yourself frequently oscillating between excessive toxic productivity, debilitating procrastination, and insurmountable perfectionistic tendencies. The main characterisation of unhealthy productive behaviours can be identified as the following. If you feel an immense sense of relief from completing a task, if you find yourself usually frantically working on a task with little to no peace or breathing room, or if you find your self-worth inherently tied to your performance and the completion of the task, or if you put productivity above all else, including your health, quality time, hobbies and relationships, and if you prioritise the completion of a task over the process of a task, then it's quite likely that you're engaging in toxic productivity habits, which may or may not be a coping mechanism for trauma. A person I found really helpful to listen to about this topic was Isra Nazir, who I believe has written a book on the topic, but I haven't read it, so I can't recommend it. I mainly came across her via the Psychology podcast, and I found their discussion on the topic like a helpful gateway into this topic. Dr. Gabor Mate, author of The Body Keeps the Score, has spoken about his own experience with workaholism and how he worked at the expense of his marriage, children and well-being, all because he saw work as the only way he could prove his worth to the world and validate his existence. He explains that when you identify yourself with your work, you lose yourself in your work and forget who you actually are, or fail to even know who you truly are, resulting in constant feelings of emptiness. Yet the brain responds to workaholism as a need to take back control and to make up for time when it didn't have any, i.e. when the trauma developed. Many of us couldn't have changed our situations or circumstances, or even remove ourselves from those situations. So, in adulthood, we take control over the few things we can and try and make up for the damage that was done, and by giving ourselves the security and value that we weren't given in our developing years. He goes on to talk quite openly about how children raised in chaotic and stressful environments often become perfectionists and overachievers, and many of those children grow up believing that if they work hard enough, they'll finally feel safe. They also believe that if they achieve enough, people will love them. They have ambition, but their ambition is often a lot of masked fear, rejection, pain, and even a cry for help, a desperate desire for peace, safety, and acceptance. For myself, I sacrificed the quality of my academic research in favour of my work online because everybody in my life saw value in the money I made and how I could stay afloat by myself and not put myself into debt. But they didn't see any value in my education. And because I valued other people's acceptance of me over my own priorities in life, which was academia, I then prioritised everything to appeal to other people, if that makes sense. Additionally, when other academics saw little value in my work that I produced, I stopped feeling motivated to try, and that was all a trauma response. But back in the day, when I used to work retail, no one saw value in the money I made, even though I wasn't much more than what I make now. But so therefore I prioritised my education because the higher my grades were and the more papers I produced, the more people in my life seemed to think I had value. Workaholism deludes us into thinking that excessive labour will cure us of our underlying sense of anxiety, unease and discomfort in our bodies and memories, when in fact it only goes on to exacerbate them all. The remedy to our pathological culture of work, philosophers such as Bertrand Russell would argue, is the embracing of inactivity. Quote, "A habit of finding pleasure in thought rather than in action is a safeguard against unwisdom and excessive love of power, a means of preserving serenity amid misfortune and peace of mind among worries." End quote. It was all a trauma response, and it left me feeling unfulfilled, unseen by myself, and detached from my passion and love for life. Being told, "You're so dedicated, you never take a break, you're amazing," from people means nothing if you don't love what you do or you don't even like yourself. If you feel like life is slipping away and you haven't done any of the things that you wanted to do for yourself because you were too busy seeking external validation and not validating your own existence through passion, creativity, and sincere curiosity. So whilst this video doesn't offer any diagnoses, I hope it can offer a little bit of hope. Things that I've been implementing over the past couple of months has been rest. Rest is not laziness, it's a form of resistance, particularly in a hyper-capitalistic world which believes that we always should be working to make sure that we give our value. Additionally, I've had to accept that you can still be productive whilst you are healing. It doesn't mean you have to pause on everything you do. And productivity can be joyful again when it's not fear-driven. I'm allowed to exist even when I'm not achieving. So if this video resonated with you either in the title or the content, I hope you realise that you are also not broken for coping in this way. You're brilliant for surviving, but you deserve to do more than just survive. Productivity will not cure you of your trauma. Rest, therapy, and a lot of self-work will. But that comes with time, and you're allowed to give yourself that time. I hope this video resonated with people. If you did, please give it a like or a comment. I'd love to hear your stories down below and give each other support in the comment section because it's such a lovely community. If you're new here, trust me, they are all really lovely down there. So you know you're in safe hands here. Thank you as always for watching, and thank you so much to my Patreons, particularly my top tier Patreons, my librarians, Janice who is Kitten in a Bowl, Eric Taylor, Fitz Anderson, Jenny Edivane, Marina, Psycho Teddy, aka Josh, Wee Lauren, Nicholas Reed, and Andrea Bazil. But thank you to all of my Patreons. I really appreciate every single one of you. Thank you for checking out my podcast, which goes live every week as well. And until next time, I hope you are happy and healthy, and remember, books save lives, so keep reading.